How was your week?
It was alright. Are we online? I don't want to say things if we're broadcasting.
Yeah, well, I mean, nobody's here. I'm just gonna wait for however long I'm gonna wait for people to show up.
Yeah, as certain things I would say that I wouldn't say if we were streaming, that's all.
Well, what I can do, shoot, I wish I could like have the music playing while I mute you, but I don't think I can do that.
It's alright, no big deal. You saw my story about Grayson though, right?
Yeah.
That was pretty funny. I was a little sad after my breakup. That was a big deal. I had my birthday. Jesse was really good to me. I got a dehydrator, which was kind of fun.
It's a dehydrator.
Like for dehydrating food.
Oh.
So you could dehydrate herbs or fruit or vegetables or make meat, like beef jerky, stuff like that. It's kind of fun. Jesse also got me a tiller so we could use it in our garden and stuff and till the land. And then she got me this really cute, like, sculpture of the two of us that I really think is cool. And that was pretty fun.
Oh, I just found out. Don't let Andre know this, but he was correct. I won't see a payout from Twitch until I make $100. So I will not be seeing whatever I got this month until I least like make it to 20 followers. I mean 20 subscribers.
That sucks.
I did the math. I was like, oh, that's all. I mean, like that's like at the low. That's at the lowest rate you can sub to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the only thing I will be getting from this, which I've been trying to use, and I'm probably gonna start trying to do more art for it. Is the emotes. I
Yeah.
officially got one, so that's good. I was able to get one, so I'm officially branded Harriet as part of my channel's brand, and she's my mascot. And that was kind of her point when I first conceived her.
That's pretty exciting. Who's Harriet, though?
The green chick you see on my as my icon for the past year.
Oh, I thought that was a male. I thought that was supposed to be like you with a green hat on.
No, that I know you're joking at this point. There's no way.
No, I'm not joking. It could have gone either way. I just assumed it was you, like with a green hood on or something.
My eyes are not that narrow, and her eyelashes on there. You probably can't tell because of the hair color being the same color as her eyelashes, but still.
No, I didn't see eyelashes. Now that I'm looking really closely, I do a little bit, but no.
And there are full lips on that chick. Well, I mean, it's whatever. I'm not gonna go into that.
Dude, it looks like lips and a chin. I thought it was lips and a chin. It just says the game hunter, and then I look and I see a face, and I just assumed the face was the game hunter.
Oh, that is a character I conceived
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Okay.
I initially back when I was trying to rebrand myself back then, I was like, I could probably deal with a mascot. And since I'm the anime, this would probably work out, and that's how she got born.
Mm.
I have various redesigns. I'm probably gonna have to rework on that anyway, but I got one. Like that's essentially what's gonna be the base. I think that's gonna be the base for a lot of the the emotes. She's gonna be. I have one for her laughing. I think I got one for her being angry. I think. If not, I have to make that. But lots of emoticons are coming in the future. Well, I guess it's emoticons, whatever.
That's pretty cool.
Is it snowing up there for you guys right now? Or was it snowing earlier?
Yeah, I mean, we're not gonna get blasted, but we got some snow. We were worried this morning. We had to wait over 2 weeks for somebody to come. This morning we had to wait over 2 weeks for somebody to come work on our washing machine, and we're starting to sort of run out of clothes. And they found they were going to come today, and we were really worried that like the snow was going to prevent them from getting up our driveway and stuff like that. But they did make it, so I was happy about that.
So you have a working washing machine now?
So I was happy about it. No, but they told us what we need to do. We might need to order a part, which is really going to suck. Jesse was smart enough to order one of the parts that he thinks we might need, and it's supposed to come today or tomorrow. It didn't come today, apparently, so we're going to have to hope it comes tomorrow. Everything just takes forever, and like the last thing we want to do is like order the part, because it just seems like it takes months sometimes for what we need to come in. Sorry, it takes like months sometimes now for what we need to come in, so we're really hoping that it doesn't take that long. No. Grayson has a rock tumbler that I gave him for Christmas. We've been doing a lot of stuff with that. It takes about a week. There's 4 stages, and each one takes about a week. And we started, because it was the first time we were using it, I started with kind of a small batch. And every single time we take out a stage, a 1 week stage, you're supposed to get like smaller with the grit every single time. There's like special grit for each stage. Every time we take out a batch, like the grit gets smaller and the rocks get smaller, and we kind of like wore our way through the rocks. And every single time we do, we're like, these are too small to put back in. We take them out, and now we're down to like 5 or 6 little rocks. And the thing was you're supposed to be able to fill the thing 2/3 of the way, and it was like more like, I don't know, 1/8 of the way tops. So it was going to go in for stage 4, which would have been another whole week. So I told Grayson, like, why don't we start with more, and we can just add these 8 to the last part of the next one. You know what I mean? Because I'm pretty sure by then we'll have pulled a whole bunch out again. You know what I mean? We can just add these to bolster up the numbers for the next one. So he was into that. So we went through. We had gotten this bag of like sand to go through when we went to a cave. In the summer, there was this place called Howe's Cavern, and you could like buy this bag of sand, and they just kind of planted in like a bunch of stuff that you could do like out of it, like shark's teeth and semi-precious gems and stuff like that. So he thought it was the greatest thing, and we went with a Rubbermaid container in the tub, and we were pouring water and stuff like that, and he was going through it in the tubs to like try to find like stuff, you know what I mean, inside of it. And he thought it was the greatest thing, and we pulled out a bunch of rocks that we could put in the tumbler, and plus we had some pieces of like glass from the dollar store that he threw in there, like chunks of glass. Because you can polish glass with it too, and we had some rocks and stuff like that. So he's got all that stuff in there right now, smoothing down. So on Friday it'll be ready for phase 2, and then phase 2 is longer, and then the other 2 are about a week each. So in a month we'll be able to like be done with the whole thing again. It'll be kind of fun. So that's exciting. I spent a lot of time with Jesse this weekend. I spent a lot of time playing with a racetrack that Grace and I built in the basement together for his cars. We had like a mega tournament. I watched Grayson on Mondays before we do our podcast, so that was fun. On Friday I went over to a friend's house, and I made her breakfast for dinner. I made her breakfast sandwiches, which I make like a smoked sausage, egg and cheese sandwich, which is like one of my specialties. She had to put her dog down a few weeks ago.
Oh.
And she said she's been crying every day for 15 days. And I was feeling kind of crappy, so I went over there, made her breakfast for dinner. I brought my massage table, gave her like a full body massage, and then we hung out and like just talked until like 2 in the morning. And I had a nice time. That was like really good for both of us to just kind of like chill out. She has twins, so it was nice to have like some adult time, and like, I don't know. It was nice to just get away from things for a little bit. And I had to drive home, which is like an hour drive, so I was like so tired. But that was really nice. Trying to think of anything else that was going on lately. I think that's mostly what's been going on for me lately. So, I don't know. How about you? Job? Anything with your job?
Oh, I mean, no, Samuel. I'm still with it. Waiting to hear. This guy who works for the school district that my company is contracted with.
Yeah.
He's been really helpful. He's been trying to he's been keeping up with the best he can. I mean, whenever he knows something, he lets me know.
Yeah.
I got a haircut, so hopefully I'll have a potential interview this week. Is the hope, and I just gotta try my best to do this interview because I had an interview like sometime last year with the school, but well, I got passed over. So I'm gonna try to do my best on this one again to see if I can't get it. If not, uh, my second backup is just to suck it up with this company. And somebody within it said that their IT department, some people are retiring. So I was like, well, I mean, I want to go into IT. Why the heck not?
Yeah.
It's the backup. So like, okay, I just suck it. I'll suck it up. The company isn't bad. It's just that I had a sword in my chest because of what currently happens.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, why the heck not? I just have to figure out a way up to Baltimore, and I just really don't. I don't want to drive, but I also don't want to use the Amtrak. So it's like I have a decision to make if it comes to that. But also the other thing too, you told me about this like sometime last week. I mean, sometime last year in December. So even if this doesn't work out, the chances that the opportunity he could have given me is probably
Gone.
null and void at that point. Yeah.
That sucks, my friend.
So I don't know if it's still even up in if it's still up in the air or not. I'm still trying to. I would prefer just to leave.
Hmm.
But if it's not possible, I just have to accept the fact. It's like okay,
Hmm.
maybe maybe this is the best place for me currently right now, but we'll see. So I mean that's kind of why I'm trying to at least try to be more, positive. Plus, maybe working on some art that maybe working on like one art project a month might actually help me. That's why I guess what I'll probably dedicate Wednesdays to streaming my art, be drawing. We'll see how that works out.
Yeah.
Because I had this comic idea that I've had for years now, but I haven't done anything. People are, like know about it because I told you, but I haven't done anything on it because of just other things, and just like life. But it's like, oh well, maybe this is a good opportunity to try and push forward, get some of
Hmm.
these creative juices out of my brain, so they're not sitting there marinating, sticking up the place.
Jesus.
That's the best way to put it.
Marinating, sticking up the place. You make it sound so good.
Okay, I guess I got you here before we actually start off with the episode, reviewing the episodes. I want to these
Hmm.
two episodes, we only got one episode left, and I was thinking,
We have 2 episodes left, I think.
no, there's like two. We wrote these two episodes. There's like one episode left. That's released. Um,
Yeah, you're right. 39. That's it.
so
Okay.
what I kind of want to propose, and I rather not try to pursue another show just for the sake of trying to pursue another show.
Hmm.
So I'm not saying we got this entire thing. What I'm
Why do you hate
suggesting,
me?
what I'm suggesting, and this is probably good for you. What I'm
Don't leave me, Jeremy.
what I'm suggesting is that maybe because
Don't leave me alone.
life is kicking us both
Why are
in
you talking about life now?
life is kicking us both in the butt right now. Probably you probably more so because of just you do a lot more stuff than I am. Like maybe since these episodes are only
Jeremy,
we've been reviewing them two at a time. And
you hate me.
I haven't thought about, and he's still going with it. I'm trying to push forward.
I didn't know that he hated me, though.
I don't, dang it. But what I'm suggesting is like maybe every other week for the time being, at least until we have another show, I guess, because I haven't been thinking about another anime, and you probably haven't.
What
That's
about
something.
that dungeon girls in a dungeon thing I told you about?
you're already way further ahead than I am. Like I'd rather you not start over for the sake of trying to put another show in there. And like I know Dragon Prince would have been an easy target, but I don't know when that show's coming back. Super might come back this year if it does at all, but it's probably gonna come out like, very late. I have I have another show in mind, but at the same time, I don't know if that's coming out this year or not. I think I mentioned in passing to you Rurouni Kenshin, but the remake,
If you're in the audience and you agree that Jeremy hates me, just leave it in the comments, please.
Rurouni Kenshin is supposed to come back. I'm not too sure when, but the thing is, I don't know when it's coming back, so I can't just depend on that in the air. And as far as that show, I kind of rather watch it on my own time and just enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's been on the radar for me for years now, but I just haven't gotten around to it.
Would you ever do something that wasn't an anime, like the Book of Boba Fett or anything?
Okay, here's the situation with that.
What?
I'm in the process of like watching it with Steve and Stefan.
Okay.
And I say in the process, we're still trying to get through Mandalorian right now because we're watching that on Thursdays.
That's fine.
I wish you had said something earlier. Maybe we could have like made a week, maybe made a bi-weekly thing. We watched it together.
Yeah.
I wish you had told me that earlier.
It's fine. I was just curious. I've been watching them and kind of enjoying it.
So. I'm hearing that it's good, but we're right now. We literally just finished season 1 last week, so we're starting season 2 Thursday. Yeah. So it's like okay, we're gonna eventually get to Boba Fett. So I mean, it's like I'm just gonna stick with it with them.
I don't mind. That's fine with me, dude.
I wish I still had Amazon Prime. I would say Invincible, but I don't know any other place to watch that. I think you've already watched Invincible too. Now I'm thinking about it, so I was like, all right.
I did. It's fine.
Shoot.
Jeremy, you don't have to like me. It's okay.
I don't know anything else right now. I know My Hero's supposed to come back.
Once every
in March.
2 weeks is just fine, my friend. I'm just giving you a rough time. You try so hard to be a nice guy. It's fun to tease you.
I mean, every week for right now. What it might do, it might end with us ending season 2 of the podcast and starting.
Now you're talking about it all ending.
No, let me continue.
Man, Jeremy?
Let me continue this statement here.
Jeremy.
Season 2 for this podcast might end and season 3 might start up. I'm starting to think that might happen more likely because I've been thinking about maybe retooling this podcast a little bit on my end. You keep doing what you're doing. You're doing great. In fact, you're probably doing way better. You're probably the reason why I'm able to do this podcast for up to an hour. I thank you for that because I mean, actually past an hour. Because without you, I can only do it for an hour. And as interesting as that is, I don't think the podcast should last an hour. Because people are listening to people babble on, like, and I think you keep it interesting. So I don't want to pursue this without you. Actually, I think you've become an incremental part of this thing, surprisingly so, more incremental than I actually thought you were going to be.
Wait a minute, why am I surprising you?
You've been way more, I guess, informative these past episodes, and I've actually learned more watching them with you than I probably would have learned by myself.
Are you saying that you didn't have faith in me all along?
But yeah, I think we're gonna move to every other week format, just so that way we're not rushing watching these things, and that way, in case you have to have like a week to yourself or whatever for any reason, whatever reason, you can take that.
I'm giving you all the hard times.
And I know that My Hero's coming back. I feel like it's gonna come back in March, like it always has. I could be wrong, and it could come back in October.
Wouldn't it be great? I really miss all the shows.
I don't know when Dragon Prince is gonna come back. I've given up trying to look up updates. I have at this point. Maybe something else new that I haven't watched before, or something I've watched in the past that I wouldn't mind watching with you again in a rebooted format like this show comes back. I'm looking at Rurouni Kenshin because I think that show would be interesting because I know you're a history buff. That show, as like anime as it is, actually was based on a Japanese samurai that actually existed. I feel like there'd be probably some historical things you could probably see. I'm not sure how much of the Japanese samurai era you are aware of.
A
Probably more.
decent, like, I mean, not as much as someone that knows their stuff, and more than someone that doesn't. You know.
You know more than I do then. So that's if it comes back this year, maybe somebody who's listening could probably let me know like at some point. It's like, is it coming back this year? Is it supposed to air this year? 'Cause I only am aware of it because I saw a video showing. It's one of those things that they show you. There's another show. There's a show coming. So I happened to see it in passing, and I was very excited because I wanted to. I was getting to the point where I wanted to rewatch it anyway. So I was like, you know what? This would be a nice way to rewatch it. Fresh coat of paint. So
Yeah.
with that, I guess segment out of the way, we're gonna before we actually jump in here, because I'm gonna keep postponing it. Apparently, we got some information about the podcast. These are stats that were not showing up before. So I guess it's been on Anchor long enough for me to get some statistics. We've had 3 unique listeners over the past last 7 days. Apparently we had an estimated 2 listeners. I'm guessing on the recent episodes. 7 overall 7 overall have actually, I guess, hit the play button. I'd like to thank you all. I guess the best way to put it, I'd like to thank you all. Apparently in the episode of Gollum we had 3 plays. Okay, that's nice to know. 43% from the United States, 29% from Germany, 14% from Canada, and 14% from the United Kingdom. Again, we are reaching a broader audience than I thought we would be. Thank you all for listening to 2 guys babbling on about anime, because it surely isn't changing the world. I think we changed the world somehow. I mean, people listen to us whenever we post something. That's about it. There's nothing much here else that's showing me. That it wants to show me. We're also available on all your I guess all the viewing. I guess most of the listening platforms that you can listen to a podcast on. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, you name it, we're on it. I hope. There's been a lot of I had to follow through on some things. So we're available on 8 platforms, including Spotify. So with that being said, we're gonna review episodes of Shaman King 37 and 38. Episode 37 is called Winds of Laughter. Lady Sati revives Jocko, increases his powers to the revival of the Golem. Increases his powers to rival the Golem. Anna interrupts and steals the Golem. In the aftermath, Yo learns that Jocko is now blind, which Jocko claims is not for redemption but to understand the children. I had to want to talk about that. When I did see that, I was kind of confused because I don't think Seiram was mute. She just is just a blank slate.
I think she's kind of a puppet, yeah.
So I don't know how I guess it's his own way to punish. Well, not like you said, it's not for redemption. I think a part of it's for redemption, but
I think she might be gone. I think she might not be in there. But then at the very end, she smiles, and that threw me off. I don't know if they just did that to make the episode more interesting, or if there was anything to it.
I'm pretty sure she was in there. But the thing is if the father had been possessing her for all those years, which I think was 2. And she hadn't been controlling her body. Also, him being a grounded spirit, I think might have something to do with it too. Because it's interesting that they even brought up a grounded spirit, because they've been talking about all kinds of hauntings, how spirits sometimes haunt a thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting that they brought up grounded spirits, which are spirits that when they died, they weren't able to do what they wanted to do. And which would prevent them from moving on, grounding them to the earth. It's interesting that this late in the series they introduced a whole new type of spirit that got killed, and interestingly enough, we found out too that he was not aware that he was dead, which is another symptom of being grounded to a spot. Funnily enough, that he was grounded.
I don't know what type of mythology that is, but I want to say that's really English mythology, isn't it?
With spirits being grounded to a thing, I don't know where that came from.
English mythology that usually there's you hear that, for example, with things like Edgar Allan Poe, for example, that like they had this like or Shakespeare, for example, you know what I mean, where they have this like spirit that had an unresolved something and now it's like tethered to the earth. So I got that very strong feeling of something like that, like just the spirit that was like had an unresolved issue in life and now it was trapped here in afterlife for that exact same kind of reason. So for once we had something I was comfortable with. I'm like, oh, that sounds very Western for once. You know what I mean? To have that kind of thing, not some exotic. Well, for us, you know, not for them, but like not some exotic cultural thing that like we're not familiar with as much where we are.
Actually, I mean, I never knew where that came from. I guess it would make sense. It was I guess, a Western influence. I guess it would make sense.
I mean, like, for example, like, do you remember like Solomon Grundy, for example?
Uh, Dang it.
No.
No, I know, but I've forgotten his little story.
Solomon Grundy, you know. Well, anyway, like the ideas of a lot of these kind of things are someone that like had an unresolved thing, and now they've got to walk the earth like until their ledger is balanced, or until they've avenged the person who killed their father, or you know what I mean, or something like that. It's like one of the oldest cliches in like modern like undead stories, you know what I mean, that they're going to come out and they're not going to stop until they avenge it, or like even Western stories like The Ring, you know what I mean, where remember that old movie?
The Ring isn't Western. That's Japanese.
Is it?
Yes.
Oh well, actually it's not even the best one because they thought that they were going to resolve the problem, and then it turns out she didn't give a shit. She was just going to keep going no matter what. But at first they're like, oh, we can fix this. We can like solve your problem, and then that'll make you happy. And she's like, nope, I just hate everything. But yeah, I think that's Western influence. My best guess is that it's Western influence, but maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I was just saying I don't really know. I never really thought about it because I've really only first heard it through watching anime, where spirits were a thing.
Yeah.
Because there are shows that were spirits are a main thing as part of their world, like Bleach. They like the very first few episodes of that show lean heavily into grounded spirits. I forgot what they called them specifically. But I think I know they called them something. But usually, what the main enemy of that thing was like hollow spirits that were they remained on the planet far too long, and then they just evolved into something malicious.
Okay.
And they lost their hearts, so essentially they lost their humanity and became a monster. But that usually only happened when they were bound to the earth, and usually in that situation they were bound by a chain to the place where they died. So it's a little bit different for the father here, where his unfinished business happened to be the golem, and the golem can move. So essentially, he isn't bound, quote unquote, to anything really other than his masterpiece. And in the show Yu Yu Hakusho, which I've mentioned in passing, and probably have bashed people's head with it, but that one dealt with spirits too. But I think I don't in that one situation. It wasn't like they were bound to anything. Spirits were just wandering around. There's a spirit world. King Yenma was the thing. I mean, it was so I mean, I don't really remember recalling seeing grounded spirits first in the Western influence, but it's quite possible. Western and Eastern influence each other all the dang time. It's not uncommon. So I mean, I would believe maybe it is from what I mean. If it is definitely from, I trust what you're saying. That if it is first been seen in say Shakespeare and that, it must have been Western influence then, and it just made its way across the sea.
It could be, or Shakespeare often pulled from other sources of mythology anyway. So I could just be watching Shakespeare borrow. He borrowed from a lot of stuff already. So it's hard to say that he wasn't borrowing from something as it was. Like Shakespeare straight up stole other people's stories and historical tales and things like that on a pretty regular basis. So I can't tell you for sure that he wasn't just stealing from existing mythology or something like that. Anyway.
That's true. Uh, I guess I can lean back into like the episode itself. I mean, not that I wasn't talking about the episode. It's just I guess I can lean back into the very first few seconds.
Okay.
We come back to how, I guess we come back to like how when Hal first finds Yo and the gang in the woods, and it seems like Hal, for reasons unknown, was taking a stroll through the woods. I kind of find it funny that he was like taking a stroll through the woods. Actually, speaking of, I guess how, um, it seems like Hal was, I guess, interrupting everything to prevent Yo from dying, because it seems like he does not want Yo to die just yet, or at all, for that matter.
Okay.
Well, I'm just inferring from what the way they made it seem after they had escaped, because Yo was saying that Hal got involved to prevent the Golem from killing him. Essentially, they get into a fight. The gang gets into a fight with the Golem. The Golem is winning because the Golem has way more mana than they do. The Golem sizes up Hal, sees that Hal's got 1.2.5 million mana inside of him, and he's freaking out and is going to try to absorb him. While all this is also happening while he's in a frenzied state of not knowing that he's dead, which is also a shocking revelation that I'm surprised they decided to reveal that now. We could have knew that information when he first showed up, but maybe they didn't. Maybe they couldn't tell. The kid is trying to get through to his father because his father does not know he's dead and is talking about the Shaman King fight. As this is all happening, Yo is trying to solve all this without anybody being killed. Hal sees the sword, I guess, like, because he's also trying to, like, Yo's also trying to confront Hal as well. Hal sees the giant sword. What?
I said,
Hal sees a giant sword.
Girlfriend. That's what I was saying.
Hal sees a giant sword and is reminded of Montemune.
The pained sigh.
I didn't sigh, I just moved on.
The pained sigh. How? Sorry.
Hal sees the giant sword. He's reminded of his cat that he gave all that mana to. And we cut away to like Anna and Manta coming, like I guess still making their way towards where everything was happening. The fight was, and Anna says something that I find really intriguing that I didn't even catch on to at all, even after the Manta and Mooney side story that we got through. That Manta reminds him of the cat spirit when he was younger, which I thought was interesting. Even that their names kind of share the same symbols, and it got me.
It was interesting, but at the same time, I was like, honestly, that's what we're gonna go with here.
Well, this is the thing, though. I mean, as stupid and silly as it is, I'm actually kind of curious. I mean, I could be completely digging into a bunch of nonsense at this point, but it makes me wonder. Back when 4Kids had the rights to this show, when it was dubbing it in America, there was this really weird scene of Manta with a spirit hammer, and it made absolutely no sense to me out of context, and I still don't even remember if I even saw what that was supposed to be. And I haven't done any research into Manta, so I don't know of any real importance he has. But like, he is the one random thread of this entire cast that I have yet to figure out where he fits into here. If he is just a reminder of his old friend, then fine. But I wonder if he has any real significance. Like, if he have more significance than we realize. Because I also bring up, I'm not sure if they talked about it, but they also bring up that Manta didn't get knocked out when he saw the Great Spirit. Though I think maybe they solved that. I don't know if they solved that or not. But this is a rather random things involving Manta, and he just seems like a random outlier amongst everybody else. He doesn't have any spirit power as far as we know. The very little that he has, he can use it to see spirits, and that's about it. He isn't a shaman. So it just seems kind of weird too. It's like, does Yo really just see him like a pet cat? It,
I mean, why not? The guy's pretty much worthless.
I know, but every character so far has been useful. Like, it just seems kind of weird that Manta is the one random character to throw in there just to be useless and just to be a best friend.
If Manta was a fish, I'd like throw him back.
Oh, you really don't like Manta.
If he was like a day after Christmas candy that was like half off, I wouldn't buy him. I would buy the full value candy of some other type.
Jesus. Okay, we're gonna move on before you keep saying more and more things about how you feel about Manta.
What? You would like if you had the choice between Manta half off Christmas candy the day after Christmas or real candy, which one would you buy?
Let's see here. After all that, we also learned that Anna can't.
You really want like red and green Junior Mints when you can get some real food?
You're not gonna let me move on from this, are you?
You're not answering my question. I'm asking extremely important and valid questions about real life situations and problems.
I would get the if it was a Christmas situation going on, and if it was like the holidays, yes, I would get the red and green candy.
I would hope that you would not destroy Christmas, yeah.
But what was I going to say? Because I completely lost my train of thought. Shoot. No, we also learned that Anna can't hear people's thoughts anymore.
Her empathic abilities left. I was really surprised by that.
Well, she made it seem like either they left or Yo did something that she doesn't know he's capable of.
Yo couldn't. He doesn't do things like that, though. He doesn't try to hurt people or take away their stuff. He's always.
Now, who's to say that Yo was doing it knowingly? There's a lot of times in media in fiction like where characters have abilities they didn't even know they had, and there's no reason for them to think that they had them or even know they existed.
I think more likely Yo brought something out in her and she doesn't recognize that he made her better in some way. I'm much more inclined to believe that Yo made her a better person and she's just not recognizing it than that Yo did a thing.
Are you saying that she did it by herself and she doesn't know yet?
Yeah, I think that's more likely, don't you?
I mean, yes and no. I mean, it's a possibility. Like I said, Yo is just like Yo's still learning a lot of his abilities. He had to learn how to make that giant oversoul to begin with. So I don't know. I don't know what to believe. I mean, a miracle cure is not really that believable, yeah. But at the same time, who knows what Yo's capable of? So far, every character's got a random power boost. Yo has not yet. Well, I mean, past the one he got prior to him exiting the fight. He hasn't gotten one since.
Hints about Yo like coming up with random power boost though. Like I don't think that line where he was like, I wonder if I could just heal myself. Like I don't think that was like an accidental like line. I think that's foreshadowing something that's gonna come up.
I highly doubt him healing himself in the middle of a fight is going to be all that helpful, considering with somebody who has more mana than he does. I know we went through that whole situation of like, there's a way around higher mana costs, but at the same time, it's like, why? I don't think Yo would be a character they would use that for because he's the main character.
I'm not saying that. I just have a feeling that like that it's not impossible.
I mean, I guess at the same time, it just seems like, I mean, I don't see a random healing ability being all that helpful to him. Now, what it did is it gave him, if it did heal him, if it also give him a boost in his abilities, then I guess maybe it'd be useful. But only if it did that, though. I can't really see it being useful. I mean, like,
it's possible because we know at least one other character had a random has a healing ability. So it's not impossible that somebody can heal.
I'm not saying like I just can't see it being useful in the middle of a fight with Hal, but I mean, who knows? What do I know?
Well, there's a lot of times when somebody like takes the front line while somebody else crawls off and rests. So far, when somebody crawls off and rests, like that's it for them for the fight. You know what I mean? So if somebody could crawl off and rest and actually make themselves useful, wouldn't that be nice?
I mean, that's true. I guess with, on that topic, I guess after all that, we jump back and forth between Anna and Mata and the battlefield. Uh,
Mhm.
Pretty much the golem is now in attack mode and starts attacking them. Jocko comes out of nowhere and saves them with a giant Olmec face.
Yeah, do
Yes,
we have any idea how he got back to Earth other than some sort of transcending the boundaries of time and
I'm
space
pretty
kind of
sure it was
thing?
his master. I couldn't tell you how his master did that, considering that his master's a spirit. I don't think that Gandhar chick had anything to do with it, but I could be completely 100% wrong because I didn't understand. I didn't understand after the fight ended. I did not understand a lot of what was happening. It sounded like Ryu was trying to um find her to bring him back, but I thought he already came back when he came back in the fight and stopped that giant golem from attacking.
Right.
So like that's where I got really confused. Like, was he not back? Was he just still dead? I don't know.
The whole thing seemed really unnecessarily confusing to
Then
me.
again, I mean, like when they were traveling last episode, like he was going through random barriers and traveling randomly. So that's possible that travel in the spirit world doesn't really transcend. When it transcend, it doesn't really communicate. It doesn't make sense in the human realm because spirits disappear and reappear all the dang time.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, look, he could have just like flew in immediately. Um, yeah, I don't really know. It's like, also, I finally can't confirm a lot of Jocko's jokes. I was trying to come up with an explanation for it, but it's still lame regardless. But a lot of it is just that in Japan, a lot of words mean different words, and sometimes one Japanese word can mean two different words. But because of a small, I know you're gonna laugh at this, but
You
I'm
are
just saying.
trying so hard right now.
I finally figured because I remember reading up on this, and it's still a
Okay.
lame explanation. I mean, it's not gonna explain away the lame joke. I'm just saying that's what the humor is. That in Japan they make fun of a lot of translations that are tweaked. That's why when he says, crap, I forgot the name. Yeah, he says teacher. He says teacher, and he says ledger. It's shisho. It's shisho and shishi. It's really dumb, but it's essentially what it is. He's making fun of the. He's making fun of the way the word sounds. It's a really dumb
That's
onomatopoeia.
really good.
That's
That's really good.
that's really what it is. It's a dumb joke that only Japanese would get because it's their language. It's really what it
No,
is.
I love it. I really like it.
You
I'm
don't
glad
have to.
that
You don't have to patronize me. I know how dumb it is.
Jeremy, I think it's fantastic.
You don't have to patronize me, man. I know how dumb it sounds.
No, it's really good, Jeremy.
I just had to. I had to like. I was trying to come up with this. It was bothering me the entire time. I was like, what is it? I know the joke. It's something stupid, but I know it has an explanation behind it.
Jeremy, it's
I
really
finally got it out. Now we can move on with my life.
good. Really good.
But Jocko comes in. He manages to. I guess. Level. He's on a level playing field with the golem. We also
Yeah,
see
how do
that
you feel
apparently.
about that? How do you feel about that? It seems like it's that thing where like time passes differently in the afterlife. I got that kind of general feeling from
Well, I
the
mean,
fact that
what we know is apparently Jocko went through some like I guess spiritual training, and he walked a pretty long distance in the spirit world for the reason with his master,
yeah.
and his master apparently we learned that apparently some shaman transcended his spirit form and became a god. I'm guessing is what happened there. I'm guessing,
Yeah.
uh, and essentially, I guess somehow managed to gain his favor to be able to wield him as a spirit, who we
Mhm.
now know that Jocko can double over soul, which is what that giant jaguar thing Amababa that he was wearing was. We also explains what was going on in the intro because that was confusing me. A lot of them were wearing mech suits, and I didn't understand what was happening there. Uh, I'm guessing that's an oversoul, a double oversoul. I can only imagine that's what that is. But the thing is, Yo only has one spirit. Well, that we know of.
He was borrowing the two from his dad, and they were doing like a shape shifting trick, and he wasn't actually using them. That's the impression I got.
think though? You think it's just his dad's spirits? Okay, I can accept that. I mean, I was trying to figure out where he got the other spirit from.
That's
If
the
we're gonna
impression I
see,
got from what
if
was going down.
if like I mean, if he does do a double oversoul whenever he manages to do it, so it's
Not
really
that I don't
weird.
think he's in. I don't. Not that I don't think he'll eventually be able to do a double oversoul, but I think that's what was going on.
No, I get that. I would no. I mean, I know what the second about it saying. Like, I mean, we're seeing Jocko pull off a double oversoul. We're gonna see Yo use one at some point.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny that we get Jocko going to die and he comes back and his power up is in fact using two spirits.
Yeah, that's what threw me off too, because they do that, and then the next episode they're like, "You can't use two oversouls." I'm like, dude, Chaco just did that like 10 seconds ago. Like, why is this like? Why is
Well,
this
maybe the
even
spirit
part
isn't
of
like above
astonishment
his
now?
pay grade. I mean, that could be also the thing too. Is that maybe the spirit that Jocko got wasn't above his pay grade. Um,
Yeah, I guess so.
well, he said that you can't make an oversoul with a spirit that's on a higher level than you are, because you'll die.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you know, like, I guess the spirit. But I got the impression that apparently the soul was a god, a kami class one. I don't really know. Maybe I misunderstood that.
Yeah.
I had no idea. But yeah, they go into a fight and they're on par all the way until Anna comes in and ends the fight, sending Jocko on his behind and the blood coming from behind his head. Uh, again, with this anime and the
Again,
overuse of
so
the
here
blood.
we are, like coming back from the spirit world, but Chaco bleeds, and it just like really threw me off. I'm like, why is he bleeding?
Because Anna came in and stopped the fight.
No,
And
no. Like, how does he get a body if he was in the spirit world? Like, I just didn't get the
his
whole
body was
concept of
still
how
in the
he
real world. I
works.
guess he just came back and inhabited it.
Yeah.
It's the only thing I could say. Like he must have like we keep on seeing images of his dead body on the ground, so I'm pretty sure it's like he must have gotten back into his human body, came back somehow, you know, transcended. He must not have been that far away,
Mhm.
and got in the middle of the fight. I don't really know. I just think it's anime time. is what I call that. Is anime time. Um,
Yeah, that makes sense. It's painful, but it makes sense. I don't disagree.
yeah, like I guess this entire fight. I guess because this is an episode, you know, Jocko is trying to stop their father from going crazy. The little kid, Red Sib, the son, is like watching all this happen, and essentially, I guess it's like Jocko is trying to make up for the damage he caused. I guess another thing too is when he first comes back, he's wearing glasses. We get an explanation next episode why he's wearing glasses at the same time, but I didn't notice it at first. But he was wearing glasses when he came in, so yeah, he in fact definitely did give his side up. I guess for this really weird power up, because he makes a comment saying that like sometimes when you lose one sense, the other senses become stronger. So I'm guessing in his own weird way, he was trying to become a daredevil.
A daredevil? What do you mean?
Daredevil lost his sight and all his other senses became stronger.
Oh, that daredevil. You don't mean like a generic daredevil, you mean a specific daredevil. I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't disagree.
As the episode is kind of coming to a close, their father becomes sane again, and
Super
his
sane or just sane?
sane. Dang it, Jock. Really? Um, we see that his daughter is like wiped out in the back in the seat, just knocked out. I'm still curious of whether she was ever there to begin with. I still think it was horrible that he inhabited his daughter all that time, and
They
just
just
like
kind of let that point go too. Do you feel like that? Like nobody really addresses. Like nobody's like, "Hey, that was pretty effed up, huh?" You know, like nobody talks about that. He's like, "Yeah, I was a
I
pretty
think
bad
it's all
father, huh,
forgiven.
son?"
I think it's all forgiven and forgotten, mainly because Anna's more interested in using the golem to defeat Hal. So,
Yeah,
and
but
Anna kind of says something to him about it too, that, you know, how horrible parent you are. You're gonna just dump your kids on us, and then you're gonna go off and die someplace.
yeah.
It's kind of like addressed, not directly, but it's kind of addressed.
Yeah, they're just kind of like intellectually like, "Yeah, you're kind of a jerk, huh?" He's like, "Yeah, I suppose I am." You know, you guys can have the golem if you really want it. And they're like, "Yeah, we kind of want it." And they're like, "Yeah, all right, well, you take it." And they're like, "Okay." Yeah, I'm not gonna wreck it then. I won't be a complete tool. But they're like so slapdash about it, and the girl's still sitting there
Speaking
with
of
like glazed
blood,
over.
do you think it was weird that the ghost was bleeding, and then the next scene he's not?
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of like kind of not fantastic things going on with this. That's all I'm saying.
Also, Reb said getting a lot of like cheap gut punches in this entire episode when people talk about his father.
No, really, like there was a lot of like not fantastic things just kind of like chilling out in this episode, like as far as like continuity goes, you know, and like living with consequences of what's going on in the episode. Like I just don't get it. I don't get why everything was like so disposable, you know, about like people's lives and stuff like that. Like I don't know, but like I say in a comment in the next episode too that it's almost like the series is moving so fast that it's like it almost gets bored with itself as it goes. Like it's just going faster and faster and faster, and it can't keep up with its own stuff, and it forgets what it was doing.
It's possible the animation studio is responsible for that. I mean, I haven't read. I only have one manga of the original like source material, and it's like this anime is way past that right now. So like I don't like,
Yeah.
and I couldn't even find. Well, I guess I could find the rest of the Shaman King volumes if I really wanted to.
Things happen so densely that there's no consequences to anything that happens. Like think about all the stuff that's happened so far and like how little it matters.
I
Like
mean,
you don't get a feeling of bonds of loyalty. You don't get a feeling of like progression like very much because like as soon as something happens, it's over and forgotten. And I know to some extent that's kind of the shamanic way, like to let things fall away from you, and I understand that, and that's fine. And there are character arcs to be sure, you know what I mean, but someone dies and like that's it, like you never think of them again, or someone like goes through something horrible and that's it, you never think of them again, or like someone gets terribly wounded and is confined to a wheelchair for the rest of their life, you know what I mean.
I mean, this entire show though. I mean, half the characters something. A lot of these characters come from a really messed up backstory. I think there's only a few that don't. Like, and Monta's one of them, and I kind of give Monta a pass because his messed up background isn't really messed up. It's just that he has a overprotective family that wants the best for him, and Monta wants to do his own thing. And he's the only other character that I don't even think there's no other character like that. I guess kind of Yo, but then again, not really, because Yo's got that whole he's got a twin brother who wants to end the world type of thing going on there. But
yeah,
it's like, I mean, it's like a lot of these characters have a really messed up background. There's a lot of the reasoning why they want to become the Shaman King. I just accept it because this show, for one, is coming from like the early 2000s, late 2000s type of thing. A lot of those shows had a lot of like pacing issues and stuff like that, where it was an episode a week type of situation, and it was like the conflict of the week type of thing. This show isn't gonna like. That's why I prefaced this when I first started reviewing it. We started reviewing is that this show is coming from a time that things were like, like a show like this was like, and manga. One of the things I think one of the biggest problems is like the culture of how you become a comic creator in Japan anyway, because you have to produce something so fast to live. Because like money is like, it isn't like you're not getting a paycheck every 2 weeks or whatever for hourly work. You get paid based on how your stuff sells. It's like one of the, before we move on from this point, is like the creator of the show Death Note, he barely could feed himself and pay his bills off the show. Like, he was eating ramen, I think, daily while he was working on that thing. It's one of the biggest.
That's a shame too, because he's so talented.
But he didn't make this. It just Death Note was a different creator altogether.
I know Death Note was incredibly talented work, though.
Oh, you watched Death Note?
Yeah, I love Death Note.
Huh. Unless it's not controversial, I couldn't get into it. Gonna move on from that. I think I probably need to give it a second watch, but I couldn't get into it the first.
I was like edge of my seat. I liked the first half. Let me be fair to how I felt about it. I liked the first half of Death Note. I was edge of my seat completely into the first half of Death Note. When they got to the second half, I was less head over heels about it. But the first half of Death Note I thought was extraordinary.
Oh, that's right. The Death Note creator made another show. I forgot about that. That was Platinum End. I haven't watched that yet.
Oh,
We'll
okay.
talk about that later. But yeah, he had issues trying just to feed himself, and he was eating ramen pretty much every day from what I overheard back when it was a thing, being serialized. He had a hard time, and it's one of
Well,
the
at
things.
least
It
he
wasn't
got to
just
eat
him,
cereal.
huh?
At least he got cereal.
Dang it, Jock. Uh, it's apparently a common thing. I think it's been fixed or somewhat, made better nowadays. But
Yeah.
back when he was doing it, and he had a hard time. I mean, it wasn't like you made something and it immediately got put into and it immediately got made out there and put out into the public. Sometimes an idea doesn't work. Sometimes an idea fails. Sometimes an idea takes too long to realize, and people lose interest. It's a really messed up situation to be a comic creator down there. It's not like it's not like it's over here in the West, where you could
Yeah.
become a part of like a big giant corporation and put your story in there. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You still got your money's worth out of it. Um, so it's kind of weird, like how Western comics and then Japanese manga are two different mediums altogether. Um, it brought to attention to a lot of people like maybe things need to change. Uh, yeah, that's a random tangent for you guys today. um, apparently he made something called Platinum End now, and apparently it's being animated. I have not watched it and anything of it, but apparently it has something to do with fights between angels. I will leave it at that. I guess you probably enjoyed that because you watched his original and you liked the first half of his original work. So there's that. I completely
Well,
forgot
I
about it.
thought the second half was super like unimpressive and juvenile, but I did really like the first half.
A lot of
For
people
what
didn't
it's
like the
worth.
main character, and I could see it 'cause he kind of seemed kind of dickish. But yeah,
I mean, I wasn't like in love with the main character, but I liked the main character in the context of the show. I thought he was well placed in the show, and I don't think that I would take that back. I think he was a good fit for like what he had to be doing in the show. Like sometimes I don't think you need to like the main character. I
I don't
think
know when the first episode starts off and that's all you have to just to show on. Then like I feel like you had to like him or at least somewhat tolerate him.
Did you like Vash very much?
From
From
Trigon? Oh,
Trigon? I don't know if I liked Vash all that much. I think he was kind of annoying.
I don't know what I thought of Ash actually. Because even coming away from the ending of the show, um,
I found the choices he had to make to be really interesting. But
well, I
do I
feel like
like
that
him as
show
a
had the world going for it, and not every show can have that benefit. Because even with the whole, I kind of take back and fight against what I just said and be a hypocrite. Um, like Yu Yu Hakusho, for instance, that main character, he wasn't all that likable when it first started out. He only became likable after he died and came back to life. Uh, so I was like, like he was the delinquent. He was doing things. He was being a punk kid for no real reason. He had a messed up upbringing, but like he can be annoying. I mean, I guess characters like Goku, for instance. I mean, it's funny that I actually like Goku at the very beginning of the series, and then as of modern day Goku,
yeah.
as they were trying to fix, as they're trying to fix a lot of the problems that the westernization of him caused, he he kind of started becoming a little bit annoying.
Hmm.
So it's kind of, I guess it's kind of interesting with him. It's like Goku kind of for me kind of went from likable to unlikable to an extent, and it probably has a lot to do with the fact that his personality. I mean,
So yeah, if you look through, you might really start figuring out that like a lot of your favorite animes don't have especially likable characters.
some of them I like. I mean, I guess I can say like I guess I never thought about it. It's like did I start liking that? Did I start off a show liking a character? No, that's not the case. I only started liking him as the show went on. But I guess for me, you had to have a good premise to pull me in from past the first episode. If you can't do that, and some shows like I give the benefit of the doubt and watch further in just so I can say like I
Yeah.
want to like it. give me something to hook into so I can continue watching it.
I mean,
Death
I
Note,
like Midoriya.
Death Note just didn't like give
I
me
like
that hook.
Midoriya, but Midoriya is not necessarily. I don't think Midoriya is anybody's favorite character. Do you?
No, a lot of people don't like Midoriya. Well, they don't like post they don't like pre they don't like pre quirk Midoriya. They like post quirk Midoriya, and some people still don't like him for his crying because I think Midoriya is a really controversial character because he's very emotional. He's more emotional than most modern day shonen characters. I think he cries the most, which is saying a lot considering that most main characters you think would cry, but you don't see him like Goku doesn't cry that a lot. But you make the comparison of Goku to him a lot. Uh,
Goku
Goku,
cried when Krillin died right before he became Super Saiyan, and that's the only time I can think of offhand.
well, not, like I mean, I get. Well, yeah, there were tears. I thought about that. There were tears. They dissipated.
Mhm.
I
He
say
might have cried when Vegeta died.
Hmm?
He might have cried one of the times that Vegeta died, but I don't think
no,
so.
I don't think he cried at all. I'm trying to remember those. I'm trying to remember those situations. Like he felt sorry for Vegeta when he first died. Um,
Right, I don't think he cried though.
no, he didn't cry. He felt sorry for him, and that was just mostly anger. At for what Vegeta's choices were. Vegeta cried though.
I mean, but Goku cries a lot in Dragon Ball, but he's a kid.
Does he cry a lot in Dragon Ball?
Oh yeah, especially in the first episodes when he's a baby and he's just like they're trying to show how healthy he was and.
Well, I mean, you can't like you. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna like. I'm not talking about like baby. I'm not talking about baby character. I'm just talking about like. Midoriya cried a lot in the very beginning portions, and I will admit, I'm very tolerant of certain things for main characters. That was getting annoying to me up to a certain point because like I'm trying to like Midoriya, and not that I don't like Midoriya. I liked a lot of the more. I liked a lot of the other characters surrounding him more than Midoriya. I mean, Midoriya is cool and whatnot. And he's a really cool character, but like,
I mean, partially the great thing about that anime is that all the characters are so likable. It's very hard to like. It's almost just luck of the draw whether or not Midoriya is your favorite character because there's many likable characters to be had. You know. Like, why Midoriya and not any of the other characters? Because why not? Like, they're all almost equally likable. Like, I mean, some of them are a little more than others, but I mean, there's just too many characters to like for Midoriya to just definitely be your favorite one, you know?
I mean, he's up there. I mean, he's definitely up there because he's a human character, and he kind of has to be up there. I mean, for some people, he doesn't have to be up there, but I feel like for being the main character, he kind of.
He's probably not even like my fifth favorite character.
Wow, really? I mean, the way you talk about him, I like that's kind of surprising.
Well, let me think about it. Like,
well, I mean, we're kind of like this is kind of the Shaman King hour after.
Yeah, no, I know, but like, do you like? I mean, I bet you could think of 4 characters you liked more than Midoriya at least, right?
I mean, you want me to name them? I mean, yes, I could. I mean,
you like Endeavor more, right? And you like.
I don't really know if I only try to defend Endeavor mainly because, as I said before, there are very few fire characters in the show and of the same power level, same power caliber as he is.
Do you like Shoto more? I like Shoto more than Midoriya, and I like Froppy more. If I had to choose between Midoriya and Bakugo, I'd be really hard pressed. And you know, I'm not a giant fan of Bakugo, but he's much more interesting in a lot of ways.
I mean, if it had to be between Midoriya and Bakugo, I think I'd choose Bakugo hands down. And I say this is a shocking revelation for me because I don't typically like the jerk characters a lot. I mean, they're interesting, but I think for me, Bakugo completely flipped me on my head when it came to that kind of dynamic of a character. I said this before. I had expected Bakugo to be that character that, you know, acting all bad and thought he was good and whatnot. You know, he thought he was the best in the world, and we found out that he wasn't. And I was half expecting that to be the case for him. But as the show went on, and then they kept on hammering us in and then showing you that he actually is good and he's actually a good character, and he's a good guy when he wants to be, it was like, wow, I didn't think you could make a character likable. I mean, beyond Vegeta, I didn't think it was possible to like make a character that came from a like you just didn't like him, period, to like he's one of my favorite characters. I would like to see him, if at all. I mean, if anything, change his personality a little bit, mellow him out a little bit. Don't completely can change him, but just mellow him out a little bit. And they've been doing a good job of mellowing him out. It doesn't seem to me his mellowing out doesn't seem rushed. I would say I wish it was a little bit faster, but I mean that's just who he is as a character. I'm pretty sure at this point. I'm very shocked at like how much I actually like him, and I can go back and actually watch those episodes that he's in it where he's still a jerk, and just sit there and say like I actually like this character. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that Midoriya was such a crybaby when the show first started. And it's very odd to have to say that, he was a crybaby, but objectively speaking, Midoriya was a crybaby. There's, like, if you didn't know he was the main character, you would pass on him so fast. Because he didn't seem all that impressive.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, I'm not sure if you agree with me on that statement, but I mean, if he wasn't the main character, he probably wouldn't be all that interesting to see it progress. I mean, he'd be interesting, but he wouldn't be like, as you said before, Midoriya. You'd be hard pressed to find Midoriya as your favorite character. Well, in the top three. Right. In the top three.
Even Uraraka is really close. I think I probably like Midoriya more than Uraraka. But even Uraraka and even Kendo, if Kendo was a more prominent character, there's a good chance I'd like Kendo as much as Midoriya. Kendo's the one with the big hands.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Really compelling character, in my opinion. Togata is someone that I could see you liking as much as some of the other characters. You specifically.
Who's Togata?
Togata, Mirio, the one
that
him walls and stuff.
Actually, now that I think about it, I remember that. Him specifically, I guess as we end this discussion, because we kind of, where are we at? Oh shoot, we're an hour in. No, it's no problem. It's no problem at all. This is the point of this show, and that's kind of why I want to retool my portion of the format a little bit as we go on. But
yeah.
Togata, the Mirio Lemillion, my goodness, I've never seen a character get introduced so fast and then shoot up the ranks so fast. And favorite characters, I guess this is the worst part, is that Lemillion and him are so similar. It's actually kind of unfair, and I say it's unfair because Mirio's has more background. He's got his background is just as tragic. The only thing that makes the difference between him and Deku is the fact that Lemillion started off with a pretty horrible quirk to begin with, and but he had a quirk, and he made it work. And the funny thing is that as useless as that thing used to be, he made it work for what he needed to do, and it made him it actually ironically made him overpowered, because being able to pass through people when you want to and not take damage kind of makes you a tank in a very untanky way. And even after he lost his ability, he still was a match for a really powerful villain. And I think that's really made me like him a lot. Is that even though he lost his power, he still managed to lay into the main villain and win. He was vastly superior to him in every way, even after his quirk was taken away from him. And you rarely find characters like that that remain vastly superior to the villain after they lose their edge. Usually, for the most part, after they lose their edge, they end up getting pummeled and laid in the ground. He didn't. For the most part, it probably had a lot to do with the fact they had to protect somebody. But at the same time, I don't think Deku could have been that same way. I think if Deku lost his quirk, he wouldn't even go the training he took. I don't think he would have been able to lay into what's his name again?
What?
I forgot his name. The guy with the disintegration quirk. Shoot.
Oh, I can't remember now. But yeah, we know who you mean.
I don't think he would have I think a lot of I guess what saves Deku a lot is just the fact that he is the main character. And maybe that's, I mean, and maybe that's what it's got to be. I mean, Deku isn't, I guess, compared to other people, his personality isn't all that pronounced. He is a little bit of like a softie. He isn't like as like loud as Bakugo. He isn't as like um he he's smart, but even sometimes his own intelligence kind of gets outclassed by other characters, ironically, which is supposed to be Deku's shtick. But because I mean Kendo, for instance, I think maybe if Kendo was given a little more time, maybe she could like be on par with Deku in terms of analysis. Uh, Even Yayu Rosa, for instance, like she's got her own thing going on there. She has the ability to create anything out of her body as long as she's analyzed it down to its molecules. If given more time for her to do, to be a part of the main mess, she'd probably be like up there. Yeah, there's a lot of characters like, I mean, even Tokiyama, the guy with the bird head. His quirk is fascinating. I actually wish that we would spend more time with him because I like to know more about why the heck his quirk has a personality.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why is it like maybe like is there some type of other genetic thing going on there with him? Even Froppy, as we joke around with Froppy.
I got you started though. There's a lot of really compelling characters that like aren't near Midoriya. It's really easy for Midoriya not to be the favorite character. So it doesn't have to be a likable main character for you to enjoy a series.
So I mean, I gotta find a hook in there, and it's got to be within the first episode. And I usually use the main character because typically for a lot of shows that's what it is. It's like is what pulled me in. But like Deku is a different type of main character, and I think that works against him and works for him in very different situations. Because there are times where you really root for Midori, and there are times where you just kind of like don't root for him or something like that, or you care less about what's going on, and that's what he's going through right now. So I mean, I guess it has a lot to do with like how they handle him, but he is in fact the main character. But then you got characters like I think it's the Deutroners. I forgot the name of it's like they have a name for the second main character and the third main character. But I guess you can argue over who those two are, because I mean, some people probably say it's Bakugo and Shoto. Some people probably say it's Uraraka or Froppy. It's like a lot of people that probably argue over that.
The secondary character? The secondary heroic character, not the secondary villain. Because the main villain is pretty clear.
Not saying like, I mean, like I'm talking about like the secondary main character, like somebody else they focus on the most out of besides the main character.
I guess All Might.
I think he's taking the back seat though, because like, I mean, he's not that important anymore, which is kind of sad.
But his story is kind of like Midoriya's story.
I guess before we move back onto, I guess, Shaman King, there's probably not much to talk about, which is probably why we even had this tangent. But I guess final question. I guess since not to say you don't like Midoriya, but you said that you don't find. I guess he's not your favorite, or he's not in the top. I guess 10 for you.
No,
Where does All Might rank higher than Midoriya?
No, I like Midoriya more than All Might.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Why do you?
I thought he was pretty cool, and then I guess after he lost his ability, I stopped paying attention to him.
I think my problem with All Might is he's just not much of anything.
Well, he was trying to be everything while he was active, and then he lost his ability to be everything while he's inactive.
What I mean is he's so many contradictions. Like I can't wrap my mind around who All Might really is. So I have a tough time understanding him as a character sometimes.
I mean, what I understood from him is the fact that he's the generic. He was the generic kid in the block that wanted to be a hero, and managed to achieve that dream because he had the potential for it. But unfortunately, he apparently faced a lot of controversy, And I guess unfortunately for him, he was the white bread kid that got thrown into a big conflict that involved the world. Um, but still managed to do his job effectively. Is basically what I got
Yeah.
from him. But he also in the process of trying to do that got heavily damaged and just couldn't do his job effectively anymore. He had to choose a protege, well, his next successor, but and in doing that chose a random kid in the street. I guess basically he might as well just be the old man character in the show that doesn't do much after the fact. It's unfortunate because he seems to be kind of young. He's not like old man Master Roshi old, but at the same time, it's like, he's still there. I think he's really just there to guide him, which he's doing right now, towards the next steps of being the #1 hero. And I
Yeah.
don't know what that means, really. Because honestly, this is no fault of Midoriya, this is no fault of the creators, this is no fault of anybody. I stated back when I was like gushing about Bakugo
Okay.
that like I think this is just me. As much as like I would love to see Midoriya be the #1 hero, I would honestly buy that maybe that was just like some like fever dream. Maybe we'll figure out what he really meant by the end of the series. I have no idea, but like I can honestly see, and I know this is bad taste, but I can honestly see Bakugo taking that spot from him.
But he's gonna have like nine more quirks by the end of this.
Yeah, but I don't think. See, I don't know. Like, it just seems kind of like really weird. I mean, the quirks don't seem really weird. It's a fact that like, as I said before, Midoriya is like very emotional. He's got a soft side. Not saying All Might wasn't, but at the same time, I feel like All Might knew when to fold, and I don't think Midoriya's got that in him. I think I've said this too. Is like I feel like a lot of like Midoriya, like a lot of the jump. I know you mentioned that Midoriya doesn't think as much as he used to. He doesn't like plot things out, and I think I mentioned, and maybe in passing, that I believe, and this is just my wholehearted belief about Midoriya as a character. I believe the way he's acting has always been within him, but he lacked the ability to act on it, which is why he relied on thinking and stuff like that, because he felt like he was going to attempt to be a hero without the powers. Because like I feel like a lot of like your initial, if you're a thinker, your initial reaction isn't to jump in, it's to think. But like after a certain point, Midoriya's initial reaction wasn't to think, it was to jump in. And maybe this is a part of the whole transitionary period for him too. Anyway, and hey XOG, I think a lot of the transition maybe it has a lot to do with the transition for him. He has the power to act now, but I honestly believe that a part of like half that he's been doing was always within his personality. He just lacked the ability to act on it because he didn't have a quirk. I honestly truly believe that half things he's been doing is something that like it seems to me natural that he would have had because he wants to help. He's naturally a person who just wants to help. So I believe that had things that you don't think was within his or matches his character, I think matches him to somewhat of a degree. Not all the way, but I think maybe half of it is just that it's been within him. It's just unfortunately he was locked behind a door of I'm not going to be able to be a hero, and now he's got that ability to become a hero. Now the door is unlocked. Everything that was doing him that he wanted to do, he can now act on. Is it stupid? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's really stupid reasoning, but shoot, maybe we'll learn more about Midoriya as a character, and maybe he'll become more likable as the series goes on. Because there's still plenty of time to give Midoriya a likable personality, give him a more likable personality, give him more of another personality, maybe figure out what makes him tick, maybe truly figure out who this Midoriya character is. But
who is this Midoriya character?
Exactly.
That sounds so crotchety. Who is this Midoriya character that we keep talking about? Midoriya who? That's what I want to know.
But I guess we're gonna not steamroll through episode 38, but we're gonna do our best.
Okay.
Uh, but I guess everybody else can give their opinions on that. I guess in the uh, I'll probably put that into the question. What do you think about like the characters of My Hero Academia, specifically Midoriya? And you can add your explanation of long-winded essay about why you think Froppy is the number one Uno character.
And if you don't, why are you wrong?
Dang it. Okay, the next episode begins with the Patch Tribe, and I want to say that I'm very confused at what Silva. They mentioned Silva tried stealing the Fire Spirit or whatever he's tried stealing. Um, I'm very confused at what's going on here. It seems like maybe Silva had defected, but they caught him before he was able to defect. I have no idea. And
I couldn't quite understand what was going on either, if I'm being honest. I'm sorry to say that.
Dang it, you failed me, Jock. You failed me.
I have failed you, Anakin. I can see that.
Blue shot, you're fired.
Jetson!
But I can only think back to Silva having Hal's DNA, him being a direct relative of him. But even that didn't make any sense because Silva never acted this way before. Though he has been showing change in his personality throughout this entirety of this fight. So maybe that has something to do with it? I have no idea.
The episode started out with a lot of like stats. Like they're like 39 out of 96 shamans are currently capable of fighting. And most are affiliated with powers led by Kami-class shamans. What is a Kami-class shaman? A God-class shaman, I get that. But why are the specific Kami-class? Like, is it really that intricately specific?
Yeah, they mentioned the Kami-class spirits. Ryu mentions that the Gandahara are using all Kami-class spirits.
What are the examples of Kami-class shamans? Not spirits, Kami-class shamans.
I'm guessing the Gandhara group. I'm guessing because they make a mention that that's all that's left. Well, that's mostly what's all that's left. I could only imagine that they must be talking about the Gandhara group. And whoever's left who has apparently access to a spirit of that class.
So is Hao a Kami-class shaman?
I'm guessing. I mean, he took a spirit of fire from the Great Spirit, and I assume the Great Spirit is a Kami-class spirit.
Okay, so okay. And then some will retire out of fear or wisdom, that's fine, that they're going to retire. And then Magna and Nicrom show up, and they seem really smug, so they're obviously bad guys. And then they said that they seem okay with them hunting down souls. What?
No, sorry. Person in my chat, you continue. I'm listening. I'm just commenting to him.
They said that they seem pretty okay with them hunting down souls because the competitors will be whittled down considerably, and I don't know, it makes their lives easier or something. And then at 150 into the episode, you see like kind of a cool sneak peek of some of the shamans we're going to see, which I liked. But then that's kind of it, right? Like 3:30 the episode starts, and I didn't get what you were talking about very much at all, to be honest with you. I felt like a little bit dazed like when they were talking about it. They just like start all this stuff and they're like alluding to like 15 things at once, and I was a little bit dazed because there was so much other stuff to latch my mind on.
I mean, I was more concerned about what's going on with Silva, so I didn't really absorb much of anything else those first couple of minutes because I was concerned with Silva. That's where I latched onto.
There was like a whole extra set of things that I absorbed that maybe you weren't so into. But I was more like, okay, they're giving me like sort of an explanation about exactly.
I mean, they've been talking about. I mean, I guess sorry, but like they've been talking about Kami-class spirits and shaman for like episodes. I think this is.
They have, but like they've been talking about Kami-class spirits. But when they said Kami-class shamans, I was like, well, that's sort of new.
No, I think they mentioned Kami-class shamans because like I think that's the only type. He was talking about how you can't wield a spirit higher than your mana output. So I'm guessing that's what a Kami-class is that they're just able to, for whatever reason, exude that much energy.
Okay.
Well, for whatever reason, apparently, I guess their energy isn't higher than Hal's. I don't know. I expect them to explain that because I mean nobody of the main group has a comic class spirit yet, but they keep bringing it up. So I'm guessing we're gonna get an explanation at some point as to what the heck they are because they've been explaining everything else pretty well.
Yeah.
So
I
I'm
was
expect.
latching into it for clues. Like I was like, okay, here's some clues that I want to learn more about, and that's kind of like I glommed into it, and then
Well, they didn't give. I mean, from the clues I saw, they didn't really give much clues. All I know is they. I mean, I can only assume that a comic class shaman is somebody who can wield a comic class spirit. As to what makes you a comic class shaman, I have no idea. The only thing I can think, being real, is that they must have an just a very huge amount of energy to expel, to control one, or even to use one as an oversoul. Because they keep saying that if you use an oversoul that has the soul you're using is more powerful than your output, you'll die from trying to use an oversoul. But I'm still confused about what the heck. I don't think they truly explain oversouls that well. I just know there are apparently giant images that you can wield that have power. Uh, so I really I couldn't give you an explanation. I guess that's what I'm truly getting at here.
okay.
I'm just waiting for the show to give me an explanation. So I mean,
You're all like looking at the show like, feed me, Seymour.
at this point, 'cause I don't know. I mean, I can only imagine. I was wondering the same thing. What the heck's a comic class shaman? I've never seen these two words used together in one sentence before. I've been waiting forever for them to give me an explanation, but I'm guessing because we haven't really been dealing with Gandhara for too long, we only had 2 episodes with them involved in it, face to face. And they're the ones that started this whole talk about comic class anyway. So I can only assume that we're going to learn more about that as soon as we get more information about who the heck they are. I'm guessing. Because they're the only ones. When they talk about comic class, that's when they show up. It's the only
Okay.
time we ever see them. So like I feel like okay, they have a connection somehow. We just gotta figure out where the heck we're gonna learn. I'm guessing. Because I mean, that girl that saves Ryu from dying says that we'll see in the next fight. So she's very confident that they're gonna meet Yo's group at some point. I'm guessing when they fight, we'll find out. Whatever that means. I guess speaking of characters and girls, Paco is a chick, and a girl. I didn't know. I honestly, at first, I'm not even gonna lie. When I first started seeing the subtitles, I thought, oh, they mistranslated. That's supposed to be a he. At first, I was like, okay, they mistranslated, and then they get to How, and then How keeps on. Wait, no, somebody from House group says she. I'm like, wait a minute. So again, this show is very ambiguous about genders.
Mm-hmm.
Because I could not tell that Paco, that little black girl was a girl. I could not tell. Makes me wonder what the heck's going on here, but I have no idea. Maybe there's more to her than we think. I'm sorry, I'm very off put by the fact that that's a girl, because like I thought I'd seen everything. Did I see her?
You gonna be okay, Jeremy?
I'm probably not. I'm probably gonna have a seizure at the end of this.
Very sorry about that.
um,
Did you say I'm gonna have a seizure?
After this, yes.
You're gonna just lay on the ground foaming and convulsing because of the gender dysphoria of the whole thing. Jeremy, it's gonna be okay.
But for whatever it is, I mean, how since
That
his
sounds
like
a little-
since
that
his
sounds both disturbing and fragile, Jeremy.
how sends his minion to go and give Yo an ultimatum to rejoin the fight. Yo refuses at first, but then realizes that he has no choice. And as he's about to make a decision, I guess out loud, Anna asks him like, "What? How do you feel?" And we get this whole little thing about I guess how like Yo's never thought too much about what Matemune had told him all those years ago. About like I guess going on a path of your heart or I guess whatnot, and I guess he goes this whole realization or reawakening about why he's doing what he's doing. Realizes
I actually really like that about Anna, that they're a legitimate couple, and I really like
I know. I mean that's why I didn't say this before, but I do like how like every time we were with Anna, we see a whole new side of her that was not evident before.
Yeah, but I like that. Like when she acts on Yo, like you say, hey, they were actually legitimately meant to be together. Like you see her do something, and you're like, wow, that's fair. Like they're a good couple, you know. I
I think
really
a
like
lot of
that
this is
about
just
her.
accidental on the parents' part, but I mean, hey, it worked out.
It did work out though. It really worked out, and I like that. I like that. Like this is the way things just seem to turn out for her, you know. So I don't know. I approve.
I'm not saying. I'm just saying that I feel like honestly, like there's no way that the parents saw this happening or working out. But I mean, it worked out in the long run.
Yeah, but
So
it's okay. It's okay that the parents made him as like
not a
made a
mistake. They
choice
just
that
they
was
just
less than
accidentally stumbled upon this, and to me it's funny.
yeah.
Because in a real situation, unless the two probably had known each other for some time, it probably wouldn't have worked out. But I like that they weren't childhood friends. They didn't know each other before they first met, and somehow they both fell in love with each other when they first met each other, and it's still transcending and becoming more and more of a they're acting more like a couple, even in the situations where Anna is angry at Yo, and it's one of those like generic anime couple moments where the male is afraid of the woman.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes sense too because Anna is just as powerful as Yo. Just like it's
Well,
one of the things you
probably
can.
not just as powerful, but she's awfully powerful.
I feel like she's probably just as powerful. I mean, as like as just as powerful as Yo for right now. Obviously,
Yeah.
power is gonna scale dramatically when he becomes Shaman King or whatever happens to him. So yeah, I mean, yeah, they're being a couple really worked out. It's actually refreshing at the same time. But Yo realizes what he wants to do at that time after having the conversation with Mitamaru, who stabs him to the throat with his spirit sword. I was just staring at that image. I was like, what did Mitamaru attempt to prove here? Because he just stabbed him through the. I was like, it wasn't like you were going to actually hurt him. You can't hurt him just because the laws of spirits. Like, but I don't know. Like, Mitamaru explains that how he's failed a lot when he was alive, and how he's failed a lot even in his death. But he still wants to continue to get better. And that's one thing he brings up the fact that this is why he follows Yo. Even though he's failed, he constantly gets back up and smiles. And again, another thing too, a lot of characters bring this up too, that Yo has changed them in ways that they probably couldn't have thought that it would change. That someone could change somebody. Yo's had a very positive influence on everybody. And essentially, after all this happens, Yo realizes that he lost his Oracle Bell when he threw it down, and as we all knew, because Anna found it episodes ago.
And again, another time that she shines. Like she bails him out of so many things in this series.
That's true. I don't know what to say towards that, but that's true. I guess that's all I can say.
You what? But it's true.
Listen, I don't know what else I can say, but other than it's true. But I guess that's really all I can say. But Anna throws like the Oracle Bell in front of her, and essentially Yo goes up to it and grab it, and now Yo's gotta convince Marco, angry Vash, that to let him participate. Sorry, so I saw it there, and I was already thinking it before I even saw that. But it's like I was already thinking it. But so I mean, you didn't influence anything I had. I was already seeing Vash to begin with. But
He's so Vash.
But like he's got to go and convince him to let him be in the tournament again. We cut away to that, and Marco is very obstinate, saying that no, you're evil, and you have to be stopped. And
As
this
usual.
is an entire like clash of like Yo and the Archangels, which I didn't know he could control all of them. That's a new that's a new ability.
Is it just me, or do you like? This is supposed to be a dramatic scene with Marco, and I just don't care about Marco at all.
I think that's kind of the point because Marco's a dick.
Marco could take a big flopping jump in a lake, and I just don't care. Like Marco was not on my radar as someone that I'm interested in any way, shape, or form. And they're in this battle, and I don't care who wins at all. Like, I don't care which side wins. I sort of don't care that Yo cares. Oh, it's like Yo's like, oh, we have to.
I want
stop
to point out,
fighting. And I'm like, no, Yo, just let them figure it out. Like, I want this scene to be over. Like, Yo, don't get involved because then, like, I'm gonna have to wait longer for this to be over.
I want to point out that I brought up that character that he's fighting, Luke Christ. I was complaining about why he was there to begin with, and I was thinking like, never doubt my instincts because they are honed. Like, I had a problem with him and I didn't know what it was, and now I know what it was.
What is it?
He was there for no reason, and we found out that apparently he was an X-Law. I did not pick up on any of that until the episode came out. I was like, oh, okay, so he wasn't just random. You know, it was like he wasn't just a random character there. He had some story significance.
Honestly, I don't like the X-Laws pretty much at all. But
I mean, I could care less for them. I mean, none of them are my favorite, except for Lysorg. But I mean, Lysorg is just an after effect.
Lysorg's not really an X-Law though. He's a guy that became an X-Law.
He is in fact an X-Law though, because he's a part of the group.
He's an X-Law right now. Yes, I agree. But he's not really an X-Law. He joined the X-Laws, but we knew when we first met him, he wasn't one, you know? He doesn't feel like an X-Law. He feels like someone that went to the X-Laws. And now you're like, please come back from the dark side. They suck, Lysorg, don't do it. You know, but you don't actually, like, care, like...
I guess, trying to defend them a little bit, just a tiny bit, I'm gonna put my wingtip...
I'm gonna strap on my seatbelt and I'm gonna
put the bear's edges of my toes over the line. Just let me do this. Honestly, I think the main reason why they're not likable is because they carry so much hatred. Every single one of them carries so much hatred for Hal, but we don't know why. We know Hal did something to them, but we don't know what he did. For the most part, characters that we like that also hate Hal, we like them because they have a reason to hate Hal, and that we know what that reason is. Unfortunately, we don't know any of that for the X-Laws, and unfortunately, because of the introduction of Luke Christ, we still don't know why the X-Laws are even there to fight Hal. It's very clear that Marco hates Hal and anything to do with Hal, and funnily enough, even with his look-alike to Vash, he would be likable if it wasn't for his personality. His personality is a big old floppy piece of baloney. And I hate baloney, by the way. So that kind of...
It's not just that.
For me, it's just that. But,
okay,
like...
Describe 3 of the X-Laws to me.
See, they all wear white.
Just Lysorg doesn't count. Describe 3 of the X-Laws to me.
They all wear white.
No, 3 individual X-Laws.
3 of them wear white. Let's see here. They all have guns. Well, all 3 of them have guns.
3 of their personalities. 3 individual, like the, you know that water team? Like, you could describe 3 of them, no problem. They all have individual personalities. They're all unique and interesting. There's something to be said about them.
I mean, you can say anything with the X-Laws. I mean, that has to be anything like, you know, prophetic. It's just that they're there. They hate Hal.
With the X-Laws, there's Marco, right? And he's like runs around and like condemns everybody, and he's self-righteous and arrogant and obnoxious. And then there's the weird like sex doll underage girl in Iron Maiden thing that tortures herself.
I don't really consider her a sex doll. I mean, I know that's how you're describing her, but it's like
she's like naked in the thing, and she comes out, and they worship the ground she walks on, and she tortures herself all the time. And
what do you know? Worship a sex doll.
Anyway, so
I'm sorry.
So, it's just this weird thing. Like it's over the line, uncomfortable for me, and like, and then after that, Who's name one more
I mean,
X-Law that's
I wanna
sick?
point out that like, I know you said that made you uncomfortable, but like, that's not even half the stuff that I've seen this creator do. There's another series that this creator does work on, and like, I mean, this is just their style of art. You know, this is the style they go with. Um, and even that one has like, I guess, underage children in it to a degree. But like,
Okay.
I mean, not that I've watched, I don't even know what that stuff's about because there's a character in it that looks like Manta. I have no idea what's going on there. Apparently, there's also some gay relationship going on in there too. I have no idea what's going on in that series. I literally tried giving it a go and then I just couldn't. It was just so odd, and I only realized after the fact that like this must have just been the type of person that this person is. Um, they're just that messed up. You know, not that it makes it right. I'm just saying they just, you know, the Japanese are a weird group of people. Um,
I mean, I won't fight you for it, but like, name your third X-Law? I just named two for you. You just need to name one more.
but the guy that blew up, the guy with the spiky hair that I mistook for Marco for a hot second before he died.
Okay, so wait, you're the next guy that you recognize the most is the guy that you thought was somebody else.
I couldn't tell. Everything was happening too dang fast. That's my excuse.
My point is that like the characters don't stand out. Like the next guy for me is like the football guy, but he's like that's a whole football team. But, like they're sort of hit squad, but like they don't stand out. Like you don't like them. They don't have a personality. They're just this big squad of the same personality. Like they don't stand out individually like some of the other groups do. I don't care about them, and I'm never going to, because they don't do anything. Like, as individuals, there's two characters, and then a big mass of people in white, and then a big football team, and then that's the whole group.
I mean, I don't. I mean, like I said, I mean, I could care. I agree that I could care less about like the X-Laws, but it's like, I mean, they're there. Lyser's a part of it, so I mean, they're a part.
House Gang is unique. Like, I can name a lot of people in House Gang. You know, it didn't have to be that way. There's unique standout characters in House Gang, and like, it's fine, you know?
I think all X-Laws is supposed to be just a bunch of boundless hatred. I mean, that's kind of what like Yo's thing is, the fact he's trying to stop all like the killing that leads to the unnecessary death.
I mean,
That's
that can be what it's supposed to be, but what it's supposed to be isn't very good.
how are they gonna be here that much longer anyway, based on what's happening now? I mean, all we really now know is that apparently, and I guess I should have saw this coming, because I was watching it and I was like, I should have saw this coming, considering that they were all based on archangels. I should have saw this coming, because it's very common that I forget, and it's not even just me. A lot of people seem to forget that Lucifer was an angel. And some medias, and this is just like what I know of when I've seen of certain fictions of where he's included. A lot of times Lucifer is either without his wings or he's given his wings. Now it depends on the show. In some situations, like you got shows like Supernatural and Lucifer, he has his wings, but he's still referred to as the devil in those things. In some situations, he doesn't have his wings, and I can't really name any shows off the top of my head that he doesn't have his wings. But like I should have saw this coming, considering that they were all based on archangels, and Lucifer was back to
it
one.
really depends on. There's all sorts of different versions of Lucifer. Like, for example, if he's based on an angel, then angels have sometimes like if he's based on a seraph, for example, seraphs have like multiple sets of wings. If he's based on a satyr, like Satan, if he's based on a satyr, then he has hooves and skin, and then everything in between. You know what I mean? Is based on the different like versions and understandings of Satan. For example, like Satan is very often depicted as a satyr. You know what I mean? Like a horned thing that prances around in the woods. Did you know that like there's an act in the act that was set in New England that eventually became the foundation of modern schools? People originally started going to school to learn how to read so they could read the Bible. And the act that was published to make the schools so people could go learn how to read so they could read the Bible themselves was called the Old Deluder Satan Act. And basically what the act was built on was that Satan, that old deluder, or that liar, would lure people into the woods and tell them lies and convince them to join the devil. And the Old Deluder Satan Act is what got us to read, but at that time, Satan lived in the woods because he was a satyr, which is a forest creature, and forest creatures like that lived in the woods, and they were hooved, and you know what I mean, and you would go out and you'd go dancing in the woods with Satan, and he would like dance with you and dance in a ring, and you would lose your soul like when you were out there with him, because he was a hooved like little creature, like a fairy creature. So there's a lot of pretense to things like that in mythology and stuff like that, you know, that goes all the way back to things even way hundreds of years before, you know, America, you know, even more than 1,000 or thousands of years before even the Bible, if you get into satyrs, because those predate the Bible. But that's that kind of stuff. Like there's a lot of different things that influence, like from the Bible, before the Bible, stuff like that. A lot of religions that were before Christianity like blend in with Christianity. That's why we have Christmas trees when they're really from like Festivus and stuff like that, which is, you know, a Druidic holiday that like centered with a tree, and that's why we have Christmas in winter instead of July, or in summer, which is generally believed to be Jesus' birthday, you know, in actuality, because they were overshadowing a pagan holiday that was on the same day as you know, solstice, Festivus, and stuff like that. That was at the same time. Make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess what I was basically saying is that every time, like, when it comes to the angels being in any fiction, at least when they name the angels and whatnot, I should have saw it coming, because for a lot of the times, anytime I'm like watching anything fictitious that includes them in it, you know, as close as they get to involving God and whatnot in their stories, but like I typically forget about Lucifer, because Lucifer is commonly the devil, Satan himself, the liar, as you said before, or the satyr, as we've seen him depicted a lot. I forget. I mean, for a lot of it, like a lot of initial things about him, he was supposed to have been an angel, an archangel at that fell from grace, and that's why he's, you know, in the earth. I mean, not in the earth, but like, you know, he's in hell, and he's like the king of hell and whatnot. Typically, because of all that, and from what I was taught in Christianity, the fact that he was an angel, it eludes me a lot of times too. So when things like this happen, I'm like, wait, why is he here? And I'm like, oh, that's right. So I guess in the real, I should have seen this coming, and just based on what I've seen from other shows, I do know of the other depiction of him, but one of the more common ones is the fact that he was, in fact, you know, he was an angel at first. And technically speaking, from what I can also tell, it seems like too, it's like not really argued if he still is one. But I mean, I'm not gonna get into that. But so yeah, I should have saw this coming. It made sense, considering that Marco has is it Michelangelo? I think it's Michael. Yeah, it's Michael that he has. So they're fighting. So it's kind of like the end of days, almost kind of. You know, the angels and fighting the devil and whatnot. I also, speaking of being uncomfortable, as I think I'm gonna end this on this uncomfortable note. You may have found, you know, the little girl in that like maiden outfit disturbing. I found it more disturbing that there was two grown men wearing what seemed to be just very too small clothing. Marco in those pants, I was very uncomfortable from the first time he was shown that he was wearing them. First of all, I was more concerned that he was apparently wearing them underneath his suit.
Why does he take his outfit off and look like one of the Three Stooges?
I couldn't even compare him to the Three Stooges. I was just so I was very uncomfortable. And then the original leader of the X-Laws, he takes off his suit, or his cape, and we're seeing he's wearing a skin tight bondage suit, is what I'm gonna call that, and it just the episode ends. I'm just like, ah.
You're just like, why Japan? Why?
Essentially, I asked that a lot when I watched their shows.
Yeah.
Then I come back to I'm watching them on my own free will. I could stop watching anytime I want. So
Japan, no!
I'm at a very honestly I'm very uncomfortable, and I'm probably gonna remain uncomfortable for the next 2 episodes. Cause I was kind of uncomfortable with with the maiden, but at the same time I was like, well, it's just part of like, I don't know, I can't even explain it. I can't even explain that away. I found myself very uncomfortable right now with these two grown men. One wearing Daisy Dukes, and the other one, I don't even. I'm sorry, what are those then? If they're not Daisy Dukes,
they are a thing. That's all I know. Daisy Dukes. That's so wonderful. You're
I'm just like,
person for calling them Daisy Dukes.
I can't. I'm gonna have to watch this episode too. Like, I just can't. What's gonna be worse too is I foresee them skipping over this fight, and they're gonna come back to it as it's happening again. I foresee this be one of those situations where the next episode starts off randomly in a different situation.
You think so?
Well, because Ren and the gang aren't there, so what are they doing right now? And it's like, I don't know what to do. I know this creator was weird. It's just that it's manifesting in ways that I never thought I would ever see in my life. And this is from a show that wasn't. This is from a series that was originally made in 2000s. So like, I'm also very caught off guard at how early on this was.
The whole show?
Yeah.
If you say so.
But this show was originally in the 2000s. It was a very early show. This is just a reboot because they're trying to take from the original source material. And I can see why they probably deviated. They probably saw the Iron Maiden suit and they said, "Nope, we're not doing it." I'm pretty sure. I don't remember seeing her in the original run of the show. So, or she was in there. They censored the heck out of her. But I'm pretty sure it was either that or this scene right here where they said, "Nope, we're taking a detour. We're not coming back." So, I guess with that, we're going to end this episode off. I'm very uncomfortable. I'm probably going to go in a corner and cry.
I'm glad we had this chat.
Are you?
No.
I was pretty sure you were. I don't know what to say anymore. Like, I mean, if you want to, see us out, you can. My brain is completely melted. I really can't think anymore.
Today's episode was brought to you by Jeremy's podcast, the letter Q, and the letter Gibraltar. Thanks for coming, everybody.
That's not a letter.
Like, comente y suscribe.
This podcast will be available everywhere that normally is, revealed, and we'll come back in February. No, actually, the 31st of January. So never mind. We'll see you the January 31st. I'm gonna need some therapy for this.
Void where prohibited.
The therapy?
Yes.
No.